Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy DLloyd, and we are here, you guys, getting ready for the playoffs. But real quick, before we actually start the playoffs, I do want to go through all the season stats, the final standings, as well as the MVP and all of the in-season awards. But we're going to be taking on in the playoffs the Tennessee Titans. They are 12-4. We are obviously 11-5. But really quickly, we'll look at the standings for the entire NFL right now, and the best team with the best record are the New England Patriots. But there are a ton of teams that were 12-4. The Patriots, they were 12-4. Pittsburgh Steelers were 12-4. Tennessee Titans are 12-4, and the Houston Texans are all 12-4. We were, of course, 11-5, and the Oakland Raiders, the weakest of the playoff teams, they were 9-7 in the AFC. Looking at the worst team now in the AFC, it was the New York Jets. 2-14 record, really wasn't that good. And the Indianapolis Colts weren't far behind with a 3-13 record. Looking at the NFC now, the Dallas Cowboys, they had the best record with an 11-5 record. Then you had a bunch of 10-6 teams: Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks. Then the worst team to make it in the NFC were the Green Bay Packers with a 9-7 record. The Eagles, they did miss the playoffs in our franchise mode. Then the San Francisco 49ers, they were 3-13. They had the worst record in the NFC, and the Bears had an interesting record: 3 wins, 11 losses, and 2 draws. So a very, very interesting record for the Chicago Bears. Now taking a look at the rest of the wild card weekend games, obviously we're playing the Tennessee Titans, but you have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. You have the Houston Texans playing the Oakland Raiders. You have the Seattle Seahawks playing the Green Bay Packers. So some very, very good games going on in wild card weekend. Hopefully, though, we come out of here with a victory. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the season stats for our players. Tyrod Taylor, up and down season, obviously didn't play the entire year, but he had 2,200 passing yards, 15 TDs, 16 interceptions, but 5 of those picks were against the Miami Dolphins in 2 pretty bad games for Tyrod Taylor. Nathan Peterman, though, he had 1,000 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So a very, very good player coming off the bench. Only a rookie. We can see how he progresses over time, but he had a very solid rookie campaign. Rushing, though, LaShawn McCoy only started 6 games. Only had 102 carries, but 1,200 rushing yards, 12 yards per carry is his average. This guy is insane. 14 TDs, but he is injured right now with that torn hamstring, and he will definitely be missing some time here in the playoffs. DeAngelo Williams, though, as a backup, very serviceable, had 733 rushing yards, 4.7 yards per carry, and 5 rushing touchdowns on the year. Then Tyrod Taylor from the quarterback position, he has 70 carries, 657 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So a very, very effective year for Tyrod Taylor, especially on the ground. Looking at our receiver stats, Charles Clay, he was our most reliable target. Our tight end, of course, 49 catches, 693 yards, 2 touchdowns, which is a little bit low for Charles Clay, but he did have a very solid year. Zay Jones in his rookie campaign, 41 catches, 707 yards, 6 TDs. The only problem with Zay Jones, he did drop a lot of passes. So we're still looking for a true #1 receiver. I don't quite think Zay Jones is ready for that yet. Obviously, we're not releasing him or anything like that, but we do need to get a true #1 receiver some point this offseason. Philly Brown, he had 37 catches, very, very serviceable. I was not expecting a whole lot out of Philly Brown coming into the season. Charles Johnson had 26 catches. Jordan Matthews, he was supposed to be our guy, but he only had 17 catches, 343, 5 TDs. He was hurt a lot, but he still had a very, very mediocre season at best, in my opinion at least. Looking at our defensive leaders, Preston Brown, we just recently signed him to a 5-year extension, and you will see why when you take a look at his stats. 101 total tackles. That's very, very solid. 9 sacks, 2 interceptions on the year for our young middle linebacker, so we had to reward him with that 5-year extension. Jabril Peppers, he had a very good rookie campaign as well, with 82 total tackles, 1 sack, and 1 interception. Carl Bradford, he came off the bench. He was a backup for us at right outside linebacker, but he filled in for Lorenzo Alexander, and he had 63 total tackles. When we go ahead and take a look at the sack leaders for our team, And the sack leaders, we had a lot of sacks this year, but our sack leaders were Jerry Hughes with 12.5 sacks. Lorenzo Alexander, he had 12 sacks, and he did not play the entire season. Shaq Lawson had 10.5 sacks, and then Preston Brown, like we said earlier, had 9 sacks. So a ton of sacks from our defense. And our defense across the board played very, very well all season long. Tre'Davious White, our rookie corner, had 5 picks, 1 pick 6 in the last game. Sharice Wright, he had 3. Preston Brown had 2 picks. Darrelle Revis, he is getting up there in age. Obviously not the same Darrelle Revis, but he did finish with a total of 2 interceptions on the year. Now going ahead and taking a look at the rest of the league and looking at the league leaders everywhere else, we'll go ahead and start from the quarterback position, of course. Let me go ahead and change that. And looking at the quarterbacks, Tom Brady, 4,900 passing yards, just about 70 yards shy of 5,000 passing yards for Tom Brady. 47 touchdowns, 12 picks. Deshaun Watson had 4,800 passing yards. Drew Brees, 4,800 passing yards. And Ben Roethlisberger, all of them finished with 4,800 passing yards. Looking at the quarterbacks with the most touchdowns thrown, it is Dak Prescott above Tom Brady. 48 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions for the second-year QB. A very, very great year for any quarterback, but especially a quarterback in just his second season. Tom Brady, 47 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Very good year for him as well. And then you had a little bit of a drop-off, but it's still a great year. Drew Brees had 38 touchdowns, 16 picks. Deshaun Watson, as a rookie, he threw for 36 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. A very, very strong rookie campaign. Then you have Marcus Mariota, somebody who we're planning on trying to stop in our wild card game. He had 34 touchdowns and 17 picks. Looking at the quarterbacks who threw the most interceptions, Carson Wentz did throw 31 touchdowns. He also threw 20 picks. Alex Smith, he threw 20 picks. That's not really like Alex Smith. And then in his rookie campaign, Mitchell Trubisky, 21 touchdowns, 19 picks. Deshaun Kaiser threw 18 picks. Derek Carr threw 17. He had Mariota there, of course. So a couple quarterbacks going with a lot of picks this season. The rushing leaders is Devontae Freeman, 1,600 rushing yards, 14 TDs, only 1 fumble for Devontae Freeman. David Johnson, he had 1,400 yards rushing. Le'Veon Bell, he's always going to be amongst one of the leaders in rushing. He had 1,300 yards rushing and 15 touchdowns for Le'Veon Bell. Then you have DeMarco Murray, who we have to try to stop this week. Jonathan Stewart, and then LaShawn McCoy. Like I said, he only played in 6 games, and he is one of the leaders. Now, somebody who also surprised me, Thomas Rawls, 1,100 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns for Thomas Rawls. That did surprise me a little bit. Then the leading receiver is also shocking. Rob Gronkowski, a tight end, 1,100 receiving yards, 103 catches, and 9 touchdowns. Devontae Adams also had 103 receptions. Then Dez Bryant and Anquan Bolden. Yes, Anquan Bolden, the old man, had 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns for the Houston Texans. He was a big part of that offense, and he definitely showed out this year. And then going ahead and looking at the tackling leaders this year in the league, Paul Pelissny, 157 total tackles. Brandon Marshall had 153 total tackles. Kursky had 149. Ryan Shazier, 143 total tackles. The sack leaders are Aaron Donald. Of course, this guy is an absolute beast. 22.5 sacks this season. And then for the #1 pick, Myles Garrett, he had 19.5 sacks. So a very good year for both players. And then another young guy, Joey Bosa, he has 16 total sacks. The interception leader with 9 interceptions, Xavier Rhodes of the Minnesota Vikings. And then CJ Mosley, a linebacker, he finished with 8 interceptions on the year. Brent Grimes had 8. Then another linebacker later down, Luke Kuechly, he of course has 6 interceptions. So that is pretty much all of the stats for the season, you guys, the individual stats. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the award winners, weekly awards. Probably really don't need to look at that too much. Let's go straight to the yearly awards. Matter of fact, trying to keep this video as short as possible. And the MVP is going to be Tom Brady, who beat out Dak Prescott. Just looking at the stats, I probably would have gave it to Dak Prescott, but Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and they are the New England Patriots. And they did have an extra win with a 12-4 record. So Tom Brady, he is the MVP. Dak Prescott came in second. Deshaun Watson had a good year. He came in third in the voting. And the first non-quarterback is Le'Veon Bell. He finished 7th in the voting for MVP. Looking at the coach of the year, it is Bill O'Brien with the Houston Texans, 12-4. That is incredible. They did beat us out. We came in second in the coach of the year voting. We finished 11-5 with the Buffalo Bills. So Tom Brady MVP, Bill O'Brien of course is the coach of the year. Looking at the offensive player of the year, Tom Brady, that is a given. He did win MVP. CJ Mosley, defensive player of the year, just beating out Ryan Shazier. He did have 8 picks from that middle linebacker position. Offensive rookie of the year, Deshaun Watson, of course, and I don't know how Jay Cutler is in the running for offensive rookie of the year. That is Madden's logic sometimes. He came in second though. Leonard Fournette came in third for offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year in the AFC is Myles Garrett. This guy had 19 sacks, I believe it was. So a very, very good year, and that was pretty much a given. AFC's best quarterback, Tom Brady. Best running back, Le'Veon Bell, beating out LaShawn McCoy just simply because LaShawn McCoy couldn't have stayed healthy long enough this season. Best receiver, Antonio Brown. Best offensive lineman, we got Marshall Yanda. Best defensive lineman, Myles Garrett, of course. Best linebacker, CJ Mosley. Best defensive back, Marcus Peters. And best kicker is Justin Tucker. Now going ahead and looking at the NFC, Dak Prescott, the offensive player of the year for the NFC. Defensive player of the year, Aaron Donald, who did have 22.5 sacks. Offensive rookie of the year, kind of surprising, Mitchell Trubisky. Didn't have the best year, but I guess when you look at the rest of the rookies, they didn't really do much either. I did expect Dalvin Cook to win that award. He did not win it though. Defensive rookie of the year in the NFC, Jonathan Allen of the Washington Redskins. Best quarterback, Dak Prescott. Best running back, Devontae Freeman, of course. Best wide receiver, Des Bryant, who did finish with 100 receptions, and he did beat out Julio Jones for this award. Best offensive lineman, Zach Martin. You know the Cowboys would have a ton of players winning best offensive lineman. Best defensive lineman does go to Aaron Donald again. Clay Matthews, a little bit of a resurgence. He wins best linebacker in the NFC. Best defensive back goes to Xavier Rhodes, beating out Josh Norman and Patrick Peterson. And then best kicker goes to Mason Crosby. So I think that is just about everything. I did want to show you guys my draft board, but you cannot apparently look at it in the playoffs. As soon as we get out of the playoffs or this season is over, I'll have an in-depth video about our draft board and a couple of interesting players we are targeting for the offseason. But like I said, we're taking on the Tennessee Titans. They are 12-4. We are 11-5. I'm extremely excited for this game. I think this is a very winnable game, but we'll see how everything plays out. But you guys, if you guys are still excited for the playoffs, please go ahead and leave this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. The playoff game will be posted on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so definitely watch out for that. It should be very exciting. I'm about to play this as soon as I'm done with this video, so I hope you guys watch. The next video should be good. If you are still enjoying this series, like I said, please leave this video a like. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's your boy D Lloyd. I'm see y'all next time. Peace.